Ninh Binh. If it's not on your itinerary for Vietnam, well, after this video, it will be. When you're staying in or around Ninh Binh, homestays are the way to go. There are dozens and dozens of these, each of them a little bit unique, but all of them beautiful in their own way and set with these beautiful backdrops. So this is the one I chose to reserve at from afar, and it was just the combination of the price is right with a high guest rating. So I'm going to show you the room I'm staying in. I've got a nice, comfortable king bed. I've got climate control. I've got my own bathroom and shower, right? Space to put my clothes, space to sprawl out, you know, locked doors. And it's quiet around here. So this is situated, if you were looking at a map, we'd be somewhere about halfway between Ninh Binh town actual and the natural recreation area that's that way. So the town is that way, the recreation area is that way. But we're right up against the limestone karst towers that you're going to see coming into the background here. It's a beautiful setting. From here, if I get on a bicycle, it's about a 15-minute ride to the town or into the natural recreation area to start with. That ride, if I'm going to a certain destination, can take about a half hour or more, depending on where I'm actually going to. So I'm paying 360,000 dong a night, which translates roughly to 14.5 US dollars. Now, I do recommend you look at both Booking and Agoda because they will have different properties. And there is some dynamic pricing out there that day by day, I've seen the price fluctuate a little bit, and I've ducked my head into probably 24 of the different homestays asking what their cash rate is. And they usually tell me something like, oh, whatever the booking rate is. So that's kind of, you know, a generic speak for, well, yeah, that gives you an idea of the pricing. So staying at really expensive resorts, I mean, do it if that's your thing, but these are such incredible things. They make coffee for us in the morning and just add it to my tab. I think my tab's getting pretty big at this point. I drink a lot of coffee. But what a gorgeous backdrop. What a gorgeous setting. You can't beat this. It's very quiet here. So if you don't like that bustle of Tam Coc or Ninh Binh actual, this is the thing to do. And there's so many set in between all these little canyons and secret roads in between the towers that are just, they're all perfect in their own way. I could almost do an entire episode on staying at homestays, but I'm running out of visa time, so that's not an option. Oh, you know what we need to show you? Just so you know, this is the name of the place I'm staying at. It's set in these are not like normal streets, but you get on one of those older bicycles. That's all I've been riding is one of those grandma older bicycles. And I'm able to get to each place in about 15 minutes. So they do make food here, but if I want something like an actual restaurant, yeah, it's about a 15-minute bicycle ride. So what do you say we get on a bike, push those pedals around, and find some of these natural areas of recreation? I think that's going to be fun. So we're taking a bike ride from my homestay to the Trang An boat ramp or boat dock. There are 3 different boat docks taking you on rowing, sailing adventures through these limestone karst towers. But all of the locals agree Trang An is the trophy. It is the one to do. So let's head there first. Now, it is the middle of December. Right? I have a t-shirt and shorts on, but 2 hours ago, I had 2 jackets and sweatpants on, and 2 hours from now, I'll probably have to put those layers back on. I carry them in the basket of the bicycle. I'm not going to show you right now. And the temperature is very pleasant. It's so mild right now. You can see that there is a lot of pollutants in the air, and it's been that way. It's almost like there's all these spotty people doing burn piles, and the wind doesn't blow that much. We got a lot of people wanting to say hi. Okay. Everybody wanted to say hello. And the wind doesn't move it that much. So it's like it just sits. So it's like close to 200 on the air quality index. Not the most pleasant thing, but it hasn't been raining the whole time I've been here. No rain. Okay, so we pulled over on the side of the road that I can use the depth to show you how the air pollution can obscure your view. Now, all of the posters and pictures I've seen, if you look close, it's always there. So there's never a perfect scenario. There's no perfect time to be here. There's always going to be a trade-off of some sort. I'm willing to put up with that air pollution actually because the temperatures have been very comfortable. It hasn't been raining. If you were here in the heat of the summertime where it's 35 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius, that's not a situation where I would want to be riding that bicycle 20 minutes, 30 minutes each way, you know, and if you're doing multiple things, several hours out on the road. No, that's a situation where you'd be more open to taking one of these tour buses, grab rides, maybe even a motorbike. Careful. But you can see this is a very beautiful place. Let's go to the boat ramp. All right, we had a catastrophic audio failure with the microphone, so I apologize for any background excess noise, but the show must go on. So it's a far more developed, sophisticated, and orderly operation than you think it's gonna be here at Trang An. If you come in on a bicycle or a motorbike, we've got valet parking. 10,000 dong for a bicycle, 15,000 dong for a motorbike. As you can see, that's a very popular choice. So they'll valet ticket you and then you pay on your way out. You can see that there's car parking back there also. Lots of options. The complex itself, it's big. There's cafes and coffee shops. You got an ATM. It's a pretty steep withdrawal fee, but I've used it anyway. Lots of buses coming through. If you come in your car, you park back there. Then when you're ready to buy your ticket to get on a boat, it's right in this building here. So let's go inside and see what it costs. So this is what the ticket stand looks like. At this point in your operation, all you need to decide is yes or no, adult or child. An adult ride is 250,000 dong. That's about 10 US dollars. And a child ride is 120,000 dong. So what's that? Just under 5 US dollars? Okay, and it's worth your money. So you collect your ticket, get past all this fray, and we're gonna go through a tunnel underneath the main highway to the boat ramp, right? So as soon as we've got our ticket, I'm gonna flip you around. We're going to the underground tunnel right through here. We safely made it through underground passage across the very dangerous freeway. Just kidding. But it's a big operation, so check it out. This is right here, the main loading area for your boats, okay? They want to have 4 people to any boat. So if you're traveling alone, they'll kind of fill you with other groups most of the time, right? And it flows like this all day long. So you can show up anytime. There aren't like time windows you have to meet. And likewise, okay, so the most cost-effective way to do this is to just get here. If you can, you know, seasonally, or if you can tolerate the temperature, just get here. The 250,000 dong for an adult passage. Okay, so we're gonna go down through this building that's sort of like a museum. There's more toilets, restrooms, more cafes and coffee shops right before you get on, seating areas. I mean, it's really well developed. And you decide which of the 4 routes you're gonna take right there as you're getting in the boat. You tell your guide. You don't even then, even if you tell them what route, they might just take whatever route they want. And here's the thing. I wouldn't sweat too much which exact route you're gonna take because it's so beautiful out here. I mean, in me showing you any videos and pictures, I'm not gonna spoil anything. Every picture, every drone shot, every video you've ever seen still doesn't do it justice. This must be taken in with the human eye. So, it doesn't even matter, but I just happened to do route number 3, which was a recommendation by several locals to pick. It sounds like route 1 is the longest, which would be nice on a cool day, don't you think? She's agreeing with me. She's one of the boat guides. So we come through here, right? You can stop in, relax in this. They've got a video going on the big screen. Okay, so it's as simple as this. You just hand your receipt to them. They scan you in, you go through, line up in an orderly fashion, and the boats start taking you out. All right? Oh, so we came at a great time where they've got like, it's almost like a taxi shuffle, a boat shuffle. There are so many of these boat drivers, and they're so talented at rowing through these caves and everything. And they're just moving them down the line, loading, filling as the humans come through to fill them. It's surprisingly orderly. Everybody's smiling at us. Everybody loves that we're doing some YouTube. Here's some of our incredible guides. So many boats. But that brings up an important point that I need to discuss with you. So you pay 250,000 dong for your ticket. They put 4 people in a boat, which means that boat ride generated 1 million dong of revenue. But from the best intel we can collect, these boat drivers, they only get paid 200,000 dong per trip. That trip, no matter which route you take, takes somewhere between 2 and 3 hours. You do this big loop, whichever route you do, and you come right back here for your drop-off. Right? And you go right back out the same way you came in. Too easy. So these boat drivers, there are so many of them, a lot of times they'll only get 1 trip per day. So you do the math on those numbers when you're considering whether to do gratuity at the end or not. It's hard work. I mean, they have these tiny little makeshift paddles in the boat that you can help them row, but for the most part, you're just like taking in the scenery the whole time. They work pretty hard. And they are responsible for the repair of their own boat. Think of it almost like an independent contractor, though they are employees of the company. This is an incredible operation to see. Yeah. Look at all this movement happening. It is this perfect symphony. Okay, we are now at the Hoa Lu Ancient Capital. It's about a 15 to 20 minute bicycle ride from the Trang An boat docks, boat ramps, depending on what kind of bicycle you're riding and how motivated or leisurely you feel. If you've already been to Hue and the Citadel, this is going to be a little bit underwhelming for you. But if you're traveling south, if you're coming from Hanoi, this would be a really great warm-up for the big kahuna at the Citadel. That's the granddaddy of them all. So this was the capital for Vietnam a little over 1,000 years ago. Inside are several temples and pagodas. There's quite a stairway you can take to the top of the hill with several shrines along the way, to include near the top. And it's a great embodiment of the Buddhist principle of your suffering is the way and the path. So it's worth taking the trip up. So you have kind of 2 mirror image ancient old pagodas in there, shrines, temples, I'm not sure what you call it. And it's a nice walk around. It makes for good pieces of the scavenger hunt, but it's pretty touristy. So what happens is when you get here, in any, like all of the restaurants on the line, free parking for your bicycle. You're not even allowed to take a bicycle inside. But once you pay the 20,000 dong entry fee and you go into the main gate, you can rent a bicycle, I think for about 10,000 dong, to move around the grounds. I did it on foot, but I'd almost, if I was gonna do it again, I'd probably rent the bicycle on the inside. So the free parking is sort of with the hope or expectation that you'll buy food and, you know, from their restaurant. All these restaurants on the line, they all free parking. And they look really official as they're waving you in, whatever. It's only official in the sense that you can't take your bicycle inside. So just know that. So from the Trang An boat ramp to the ancient capital is about 4.4 kilometers or 2.73 miles, I'd say, if you're an American. And by the time you get here, you're gonna know whether you have it in you to do the next 10 kilometers or 6.2 mile ride to the largest Buddhist complex in all of Vietnam. We're turning back though. So the neighborhood I'm staying at, roughly, this is my neighborhood. It's going to be about a 15-minute bike ride into the Hoa Lu Ancient Town, which is in a distinctly different place than the capital that we were at earlier. But let's go down there and take a look, because this is the perfect time of day to be there in the dusk, kind of twilight hour as the lights come up on the temples and the walking street. So it's going to be a gorgeous little bike ride. Let's go see what the ancient city looks like. Now on your way into or out of Hoa Lu Ancient Town, which would be your way as the viewer, out to the Trang An Natural Reserve UNESCO recreation area, which is all the stuff behind, in front of you, but behind me where the sun is setting. You get to pass by this beauty right here. Whoa. So it's under some renovation right now. They've got scaffolding up. There's a pedestrian bridge that you can take. It's a floating island out in the middle of the pond. Well, not floating, but you know what I mean. And they're renovating the whole walkway. They've been working on this. They've been moving so much earth for days. It's insane. I just wanted to share this scene with you for a moment. It's very nice. So let's go into town. Now we're in Hoa Lu Ancient Town. So it's right sunset, dusk, twilight is happening. The lights come up on these twin temples and you can walk out into, you can enter both of them. There's a lot going on out here. From 5:30 is the time it technically opens into the evening. Behind me is it's the actual walking street down here in the Hoa Lu Ancient Town. But there's all kinds of stuff going on down here. For example, you can take the bridge across, a lantern-lit pond down there where you can rent boat rides, right? There's a hill, a mountain where you can climb multiple stairways up, and there's pagodas, shrines, all the way up. So we're walking down the riverfront, and there's just tons of restaurants along the way. Now be sure, if you come down here, that you take a moment to go visit the twin shrines. You can walk through both of them. There's all kinds of sculpture on the inside. They're absolutely beautiful. So as the lights come up in the city, it is super cool. And I don't know if you can see it, But there's somebody on he's like paragliding with a motor, and they're gonna shoot off fireworks in a minute. It's absolutely wild down here. So this is what the river walk looks like. Buffaloes doing their thing. A lot of contrasts out here. It's pretty rich scenery on this bike ride. So Tam Coc is behind me and in front of you. All that that's happening there. A lot of bustle there. It's a very, very popular spot for the backpackers. And this bike ride, or however you move up and down this line, there's really only one road to get from Tam Coc all the way up to Trang An and the ancient capital. One road. Tam Coc is at the southern end of things, and it's all of it's almost shaped like a crescent moon. And the ancient capital is up on the north end, and then further, if you wrap around, continuing generally northbound, is that giant Buddhist complex. But this bicycle ride is a beautiful ride. You get to go through these small little townships that have tons of homestays along the way. In fact, at the midpoint of that route there's a village with a bunch of homestays that puts you kind of in close proximity to everything. There's a lot of restaurants there. So, I mean, you have to know what the bicycle ride looks like. So here we are. Okay, disclaimer, I'm not advertising for anybody, but it's hard to find a good map to go off of. So ignore any business names. I am not plugging for them at all. But okay, so we start in Ninh Binh. If you come in by train or bus, this is where you're gonna start, right? And you're gonna make your way out here. My homestay that I'm staying at is somewhere in this area right here. And you go by this beautiful pagoda on an island on your way out, okay? The Trang An, with the 4 different routes, the UNESCO heritage area, that's the trophy area, okay? So that's kind of like, it's almost like a midpoint. Not really. The midpoint is kind of like right here, okay? So on our journey, on our storyline, we've gone to Trang An. We went to Hoa Lu, the ancient capital. We stopped and turned back around, but we are gonna make our way to the Bai Dinh Pagoda, largest Buddhist complex in all of Vietnam. If you were to keep going, it's something like a 50-kilometer ride from the center of activity out to the national park. Ooh, that'd be fun, but I'm not gonna be doing that. I'm not gonna be doing that. Okay, so we come out from Ninh Binh. This is our midpoint. As you travel, it's like one road. It's really just one road. Up this street is the Mua Cave, and you can't take your bicycle inside. You have to park it at a restaurant on the outside, and you go up, climb up these mountains, pagodas at the top, all these waypoints along the way. Okay? We come into Tam Coc, Bich Dong, and this is obviously right where we're at. If we were to keep going up this road, caves, temples, and eventually the bird sanctuary valley. So this is the heart of where so many people stay. I mean, I'll keep it simple and say that if you like peace and quiet, this is not the place to stay for you in Ninh Binh. This is my third day visiting this village. The first day I was here, my first reaction was, get me out of here. The backpacker per square meter ratio was as strong as I've ever seen. So from here, and there's really only one road in and out, but there are side roads that take you to outdoor activities. This is another boat ramp, okay? So let's take a look at the map. It's not the greatest map, but this would be the boat ramp that we start at, and it takes you on a totally different route than the Trang An. It's a 2-hour and change ride. Again, 250,000 dong for that. What they're depicting here is that you can take a bus ride through some of the famous pagoda sites. It's about an hour bus ride. I think they said 100,000 dong for that, and all of that leaves from right here. So you can see there is a lot of activity here. I mean, and you know, when I was riding my bike in, I had such a peaceful, easy feeling, and I come in here and people are honking their horns, and the guy that's the attendant for the bicycle area wouldn't let me park my bike there, and he's blowing his whistle at me, and like, oh, I'm all frazzled. And there's none of that nonsense if you stay in the middle ground areas. Yeah. Okay. So we got a boat ramp, lots of boat activity here today. This river walk promenade goes all the way around a big pond. There are so many options for homestays, restaurants, bars, coffee shops, but it really just depends on what you're looking for in terms of noise level, activity level. This is like, oh God, it just shakes my foundations when I've been in this very zen, calm place. So you can bring your bikes in. I guess some people are allowed to park them. I'm not. I don't know how that works. I don't even understand the rules. Everybody loading up. Again, same thing. You don't have, there's no like time windows, but check it out. You know, anywhere you're going on a boat ride on these docks, it's a 2 to 3 hour ride, and it gets dark. It's dark at 5:30. So really, though, you want to be getting on those boats by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, if that makes any sense. There are bathrooms here. You know, there are some more shopping options if you need to like gear back up. They've got, you know, warmer clothes in those shops, the knockoff stuff, you know, some kinds of like electronic stores. Anyway, if you take this road right here, that will take you up a very scenic bicycle ride. You can take it really far up, and there's all kinds of, you know, in between the limestone karst towers, pagodas, shrines, beautiful up there. Also, so you can go around. Now, if you follow this road right here, that will take you all the way back. That's where the bus route will go. All kinds of scenic, fun things to see back there, including like an excellent sunset shot through the mountains. And that will take you to the bird and wildlife sanctuary area. It's a long bicycle ride to get to the sanctuary, but you could do it. If you were starting here, it would be too easy. Okay, I'm a little bit better now. I got some caffeine, got some food. So I'm able to do this in a more optimistic and positive tone now, I think. This is the name of this area, and if I pronounce this the way it phonetically reads in English, YouTube is gonna punish me severely. But when you're looking at a map, it's one of, say, 5 or 6 hub areas or core centers where they are offshoots of all of the pagodas and shrines and natural preserve, you know, things that you can explore. So if you were just putting all these waypoints on your map, I mean, it's so many things. You almost think it's impossible. But really, think of it, there's just clusters, and this is one of them. So this is, to put it better, it is a bustling area. This is backpacker hub. Okay, so, right, that's where you get on the boats, and you got one choice here. And we're gonna follow this subtle little back road and go hunting for some of the good stuff. Now that I'm in a better place. Let's do it. So we're no more than a 5-minute pedal from that main courtyard, and it gets pretty awesome pretty quick. So you can access a lot of the scenery by bicycle or even by foot that those folks are paddling through. And if you saw the Trang An footage, you know, you can see it's quite comparable, but probably not quite as intense as the Trang An. You know, and everywhere you're going around these parts, you have these old cemetery spaces. There's just so much to take in. The cool thing is that the lotus flowers are blooming right now, everywhere you go. So if you're looking for an incredible sunset photograph, it's right in the region of this marker, H3/4, whatever that means. Now, we don't have time for that right now. We're on another mission. But somewhere in this area, there's all kinds of people that gather. I'll show you. Because the sun will set right in between. The sun will set right in between those rocks. And with all the smog and smoke, it's like this bright orange, you know, it's a thermonuclear device in the sky. So great photo op right there. So this is the Bich Dong Pagoda. It's free to get in, but it's not easy to get here. And if you came on a bicycle, they've got the free parking at restaurants. If you came on a motorbike, same thing. Or you can use the official parking. 10,000 dong for a bike, 20,000 for a motorbike. Plenty of coffee, food, toilets. But look at this setting. I mean, are you kidding me? So it was about by pedal power, a 20-minute ride from Tam Coc. Gorgeous little setting in the mountain, in between the limestone karst. And you can make your way up those big stairs to the second and third pagodas if you think you got it in you. There's a second pagoda built into the side of the mountain. Just to give you an idea, you're gonna work for it a little bit. There's a third pagoda up top. We are pretty high up right now. I don't know if you can see this. So this is boat ramp number 3. We're probably a couple hundred meters from the Bich Dong Pagoda. Not nearly as trafficked. On the same road, you'll know it, the sign on the road looks about like that. Now, I'm told that if you take this road all the way to the end and then it turns into gravel, the pavement ends, and keep going, that there is a lotus garden on a pond back there. But we're running out of daylight and I don't want. I've already had 2 bicycle tires go flat on me over the last few days and I can't afford a third one, so I'm not gonna try to find it. We've got other things to do. The next cluster of things we're gonna do is Hang Mua. So it kind of jumps out at you all of a sudden on this main crescent moon-shaped road that goes through all the bundles of things to do. You sort of have to be paying attention, but not really. I mean, it's a really sudden change. So let's go on back and see if we can get to the top of the mountain before the sun's gone. Okay, so we're inside of the Hang Mua complex. And all the way up the road are people trying to stop you to have you pay to park, and they're really aggressive about it. So I was fooled by the people at the very beginning. And the truth is, you can fly right by them all the way up to the gates, but you cannot take your bicycle or your motorbike inside the gates. But there's parking all the way up to the gate. So once you get inside, it's 100,000 dong to get in. That's $4 US. And there's this lotus lake with like all of these walkways. I mean, there must be It's like selfie heaven if you're a social media person. So I'd hang around and do all that nonsense, but guess what? We're going up that way. Now it's super touristy here at the bottom. The great news is you won't go hungry or thirsty. I've already passed a half a dozen restaurants and cafes and coffee shops, and there's kids everywhere, and there's tons of stuff for the kids to play on. So that's the good news if you're traveling in a family.
Well, I've already got a picture.
This line of people here trying to get to the top pagoda for a picture. They've moved like 3 steps in the last 5 minutes, so. Do they look like they're enjoying themselves to you? No. This isn't. The stress is palpable in the air. I'll call it. I'll be the one to say it. This is a mess. There's just lines of people. These stones, they're all worn smooth. I mean, if there was 1 drop of rain, this would be even more dangerous. I mean, it's beautiful up here, but honestly, more negatives than positives. It's straight up dangerous. So, I don't love it. Welcome to the Bai Dinh Temple complex, just outside of Ninh Binh. The overall complex is 1,000 years old. Biggest stupa in all of Asia, over 100 meters tall. All around the complex, there's stuff that is so old. Like, how do you even wrap your brain around 1,000 years? But there's places where the surfaces, you can tell they've done some replacement, some renovation. They're improving the irrigation. They're building a whole new temple complex. So I chose to ride the bicycle out here because a grab ride from my homestay would have been 250,000 dong. That's like 10 US dollars. And I just wasn't okay with that. So some of it's just stubbornness. It took about an hour and a half to pedal out here. I've been walking the grounds for over 2 hours at this point. You could easily make a day trip out of this. It is a lot to take in. It's its own thing. It's a little bit outside of town, but if you've got the time on your trip, this is very worth coming to see. So check it out. Electric shuttle bus coming into view. I've heard that if you stay into the nighttime hours, that when the temples, the pagodas, and the stupa light up, that this place is absolutely breathtaking. So that's another thing to consider. Man, Ninh Binh, it just keeps delivering. So it just seems kind of cool at first, but here's the thing. These stone sculptures, like, here's for scale. These corridors surround the entire old complex. I mean, there's easily hundreds. There might even be thousands of these. This is the oldest bronze bell in all of Vietnam, and the bell weighs 36 tons. The drum below it weighs 70 tons. It takes a 5-meter tree timber to ring the bell. Behind me is a 10-meter high statue of the Buddha. It weighs 100 tons of gold-plated bronze. This hall is ginormous. This whole complex is incredible. So I've enjoyed this Bai Dinh temple way more than I thought I was going to. Some of that might be that there's almost nobody here. I pretty much have this whole compound to myself. Well, I mean, there are people, but it's so quiet. And that really delivers some of that Buddhist mantra. Now, there have been a couple of things here in Ninh Binh that I've really liked that I wasn't supposed to like, and then there were things that are all hyped up by people that I didn't like. So I think there might be a takeaway there that you got to come do it all yourself. You are probably going to find things you like that others don't. And this is entirely your own adventure to take on. sun is setting on my time in Ninh Binh. I hope you've enjoyed following me around, getting to know a little bit about this incredible place. It's too easy to get here because it's on the reunification railway. It's such a neat place. So like I said before, if it wasn't on your itinerary, it probably is now. And that said, as we wrap it all up, I will see you in the next town.